Yeah, this is all good. Juan's gonna handle the letting people in as they come. I told him we're gonna hold questions till the end. And then once I open it up on PowerPoint, we won't be able to see the Zoom. Yeah, he said he'd prefer to wait till the end.
All right, guys, good evening. We're gonna go and get started. A lot bigger turnout than we expected, so that's actually really good news. I like seeing lots of faces here. My name is Dean Weiss. I'm one of the transition teachers here at Roxas High School. I have Melanie Fink, who's also one of our transition teachers here. I'm going to go over a couple of things before I introduce Bill, and we'll get started. This is our part one of Life After Transition, to get to know what San Diego Regional Center can offer families and our students after they graduate. There'll be a part two on March 19th at the district office, which will be from 5 to 6. We're in the process of inviting a bunch of vendors. You guys can get a good idea of programs that students can access after transition. A couple little housekeeping things. You use a restroom right across the way there in between room 14 and 15. There's the restrooms right there. We have the room until 6:30. I think we did this in like an hour last year. Give time to hear your questions. But just a really good, important night for you guys to be here to get informed. So I love that you guys are here. I'm going to send an email to families with the handouts. We've got a few handouts here. We might not have enough tonight. We'll make sure to get more handouts to everybody. Also, Juan Treminio, our program specialist, is on Zoom, and he's going to record the presentation. And we'll send the link out to everybody as well. And feel free to jot down questions, both online. If you're online, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. If you're here, you can just remember them in your head or write them down, and then Bill will answer questions at the end. Other than that, Bill Lacey, thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. Glad you're here. It's like Dean said, it's a very important day. Also, the one I think you said in a month is another important day because you're going to meet a lot of different vendors that are going to be able to provide services for your son or daughter. There's my colleague. So it's very important that you not only attend tonight, of course, but next month as well. And if you want your service coordinator to accompany you, reach out. Okay, I would encourage that, and probably your service coordinator is on my team or on Jessica's team. Okay, so if you want us there, we'll be there. All right, so we're going to start off with some options for you. Again, Dean mentioned if you have questions, jot them down. We'll go to town after we're done with the official presentation. Okay. So
just give me a nod. No.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll go more than that. So what we'll cover today: introduction to Regional Center. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Regional Center, but we'll go a little bit more in depth about that. Employment. And Dean, can you go back one, please? Or somebody. Who's in charge?
Dean's controlling your screen, and I'm just gonna sync along with you.
We'll talk a little more about that. I think that's
key. Employment resources and community partnerships. All right. So who are we? We are one of 21 regional centers within the state of California. I'm not sure if all of you knew that, but there's 21 of us throughout the state. We are the second largest in the state. Okay, the largest is, I believe, in Northern California, either San Andreas or East Bay. But we serve close to 42,000 clients here in San Diego County. That is not quite double, but since I started about 6 years ago, it's gone up about 10,000. Okay. We provide a variety of services to persons with developmental disabilities and their families. Services are based on the client's individual needs and intend to maximize their independence, full potential, and quality of life. So it's really important that when you have your IPP meetings or an IEP meeting, if you want us to come, you need to invite us. We just don't show up. Okay. So if you want us to come to an IEP meeting, also known as a planning team meeting, that's where decisions are made. Okay. They're not arbitrarily just made from our end or your end. We all need to do it collectively on what's best for your son or daughter. Okay. Next, please. So we're a service of we serve everybody in San Diego County and Imperial County. So that's Imperial Valley, Brawley, El Centro, and that area as well. We're a focal point in the community for persons with developmental disabilities, and we are a private, nonprofit 501c3 organization that contracts with the California to provide services outlined in the Letterman Act. So we are funded through the state, okay, tax dollars, and Jessica, myself, and our other colleagues are stewards of your tax dollar on what's going to be best for your son or daughter. Okay, next, please. So what's our mission? I don't know by heart.
To serve and empower.
Oh, God, that was a test. To serve and empower persons with developmental disabilities and their families to achieve their goals with community partners. Okay. So these are some of the services that we provide. We have employment resources that all those other bubbles focus on. So we have tailored day services. Anybody heard of that? Okay. Employment First. Competitive integrated employment. Has anybody heard of that? Okay. Paid internship program. One. All right, we're making progress. Coordinated career pathways. 1, 2. Well, it's getting better. Here we go. Support employment group placement. Stalled. Okay. Support employment individual placement. Okay. And then, as I said, tailored day. Those are all services that surround employment for your son or daughter, if that's the path they choose to go. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So the Employment First policy is written into the Letterman Act, and it says work in the community is the highest priority. Regional centers will talk to individuals age 18 and up about options for employment, including education. So as I said, employment is an option. What if your son or daughter says, you know, I want to work, I want to go to school, then go to school. If your son or daughter wants to go to school and go to work, then go to work and go to school. Okay. As competitive integrated employment should be the first option considered by planning teams for working age individuals. So has anybody heard of special minimum wage? Sub-minimum wage? You're on a roll, sir. You're all over it. Okay. So that is something that was used, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a history lesson, back in the 70s and 80s and 90s as an incentive for employers to hire individuals with developmental disabilities. They were compensated based on their productivity in comparison to a non-disabled peer working in the same job. Okay, so some wages were $2 an hour, $4 an hour, $6 an hour, whatever. Okay, and that was reviewed annually. But that was a financial incentive for employers to hire and get individuals into the workforce and integrated in their community and making friends and earning a paycheck. Okay, well, that program no longer exists as of January 1, 2025. Okay, advocates want to have individuals, clients, your son or daughters, have equal pay. Okay, so that is no longer in effect, and so employers need to. What is minimum wage nowadays? It goes up every $16.50. $16.50 an hour. Okay, but there's other financial incentives for employers, just not wage. Okay, and we can go into that if you have questions pertaining to that. So why is this important? Employment means more integration into the mainstream community life as well as independence. Now, once upon a time, I was a vendor. I was a director at a vendor that's still doing their thing, and that's where I actually met Dean for the first time. And we do surveys at the time. We did surveys every year to clients who are working in the community or just, going to school. And we asked them, for those clients who are working, what ranks as the highest priority for you working? Does anybody here have an idea what that might be? Independence. Anyone else? What's important at your job? Making a difference. Money. Okay. So the most important question answered in that survey for individuals that we serve is making friends. Number two, having a routine. Number three, wearing a name tag, being a part of something. I haven't said anything about money yet, have I? It's like 4 or 5. Just like for all of us at work, it doesn't really fall different than anybody that we're serving, does it? We have friends at work. We want to make a difference. We want to be part of something. No different. Okay. So that's really important. And that's part of the planning team. And that's why it's important that you discuss all that. Next, please. Competitive integrated employment. Do any of your children currently work? Or through the school. Through the school, right? And is it with 3 to 1, 3 individuals to 1 staff? How's that work here?
Mostly, but we do have some sites where it's
Okay, so we can talk about both. So there's in one aspect, there's 3 clients or 3 students in this with 1 staff going to a place of business and doing work for what, 2-3 hours a day?
1 hour. Depends sometimes.
Okay, 1 to 2 hours a day. Okay. Well, competitive integrated employment is very similar to that. It's just like a transition into adulthood. I kind of look at, we're in high school here, right? And then are most of your children 21, 22 years old? 18? 20? All right, between 18 and 22, right? So you go to high school, and I kind of look at transition as kind of like junior college. And you're learning some skills. And then you transition out of a school like a Praxis, and you go into a day program where they offer competitive integrated employment. I kind of use that as that's college. And then because you always want to be progressing upward, right? And so that's college, and then they gain skills, and over time they gain independence and confidence, and then they graduate to what I call grad school, and that's support employment, individual employment on their own in the community with occasional support from a job coach. That's the goal. Does everybody reach that goal? Maybe, maybe not. Do some reach that goal faster? Maybe, maybe not. It's all individual. But competitive integrated employment is a group of 3 individuals in their community working together at the same employer, doing different tasks, being supported by a job coach 100% of the time for maybe 3 hours a day. And then they go out in the community and they work on different skills. It's almost, look at it as an extension of transition. Okay. Next, please. So we also have the paid internship program. One person heard of that, right? All right, so the paid internship program is exactly what it sounds. Everybody understands what an internship is, correct? Okay, so a paid internship program is a pathway to competitive employment. In theory, the internship at that place of employment should just, after that internship is over, segue into competitive employment. That's generally how it's supposed to work. In many cases, that internship is just to build skills, confidence, and so forth. But they go ahead and hopefully it's a pathway to competitive employment. It might, maybe not at that particular business, but it could be somewhere else. Okay. The purpose to learn new skills for future jobs, or for the internship to become a full part-time job in the same place as the internship. PIPs are part of the person-centered planning process. Who's in the planning team? I said it earlier. You didn't think there was a quiz. You thought he was going to come free. Service coordinator, parents. Who's the most important person? Right? And anybody else who's important in that person's life who's invited. Okay? It's anybody. It could be grandma, it can be grandpa, it can be uncle, it can be aunt, it could be your neighbor who's like an aunt or an uncle. People who are important for that son or daughter in helping shape. Okay? So internships must be in competitive employment work environments. The regional center will pay for the wages, payroll taxes, and job coaching support. All right? They're time limited and reviewed by case by case. There's 1 year max for 1,040 hours. You need to have a high school diploma and you have to be 18. I know that's like, oh, I'm sorry to let the air out, but that is the requirement. Okay. All right. Next, please. Here's a brand new program, not even a year old, Coordinated Career Pathways. And one person, 2 people heard about that, right? Okay, and this is what I'm on the committee for this, and this is something I'm really excited about because it really gives an option for an individual who wants to work but doesn't have a lot of experience, okay, might have some confidence issues, okay? It doesn't even have to be work if they want to go to college for the same reasons, okay? So if you're exiting a work activity program, those are programs where individuals sit in a room and put things together for a very small amount of money, okay? And that was very popular in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even up to the last decade, okay? But they have faded out. They really no longer exist. Or paying minimum wage, as I described earlier, exiting secondary education within 2 years. That's this, okay? So if your son or daughter is either 16 at the youngest, okay, or up to 22, they're eligible for this now. Okay, and I'm going to describe why and how you can go into this. But this is something very exciting, all right? Or if you have another child who's not in a practice who might be, older and they're exiting a minimum wage environment, they're eligible as well. So we would have a lot of clients who are 40-something years old who've been in a work activity program who no longer are being paid the special wage who are eligible. Okay, but for this group, 16 to 22, anywhere in between, you're eligible. So what you need to do, it's time limited. It's 18 months, and if it needs to be more, the planning team gets together and you extend it to 24 months. Okay, you work one-on-one with a career pathway navigator. Now, let me ask you, has everybody in here done a person-centered plan? You know what a person-centered plan is? Okay. So a person-centered plan is you sit down with that planning team meeting, that group of people, and you help plan out the likes, the dislikes, the interests. Everything is important for that individual on many different life areas. Okay? It's really important because it's a living document. It's not just for 1 year, it's for their whole life. Okay? And you add on to it and add to it. And then you might delete something. But it's a living document that never ends. Okay? And it's really important that the person who's the center of it, which is in the title, person-centered plan, is a vital part of it in their own way. Okay? Well, the Career Pathway Navigator does one similar, but it's for career or school. Okay, so if your service coordinator, if this is something you're interested in now, contact your service coordinator. And they will fill out a referral form. And they're going to send it to me. And I'll approve it. And then we fund it. We have maybe 9, 10 vendors throughout the county who are providing this service.
Could you give an example of what that would?
Sure. So if once the referral is coming, I approve it. The person who I'm funding will come to your home with your service coordinator and do we live in the world of acronyms, as you know, right? So a person-centered career plan, PCCP, one more acronym for you to learn. And you'll do that plan. And they'll determine how many hours a customized employment specialist is going to spend, also known as a job developer. They have all these fancy names now. Okay. So now it's a job developer who's going to come in and work with your son or daughter for a period of time on finding a job for them in the community. And then once they find a job in the community, they're going to partner you up with an agency. I'm paying for all of it. Figuratively speaking, I'm paying for all of it. And so we all are paying for it. And the agency will provide job coaching. throughout the lifetime of that job. So it's kind of like an internship. They're going to get a wage. Okay.
What kind of jobs? I mean,
Oh.
give me an example.
Outback. You know, Outback is always looking for motivated individuals to bus or dishwash a hostess. Okay. You know, so for some clients, is that feasible? Maybe. Okay. But it's where an individual wants to work. Now, I'm a former career specialist. So I have placed hundreds of people throughout the county. And there are employers out there who are open and willing because they're philosophically on board with us. They believe in what it means to be equal employment. Businesses such as the Hilton, Hyatt, Target, Vons, Albertsons, all the grocery stores, Sprouts, Callaway Golf, as an example. Okay, and in some cases, for that customized employment, what if we have somebody who wants to be there, diehard, want to be a dishwasher? Okay, I mean, we all started somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All of us. We just didn't fall into our dream job. So we started out somewhere, but that's what they want to do, or a bus boy or bus person. But they can't perform all the functions of the job, such as heavy lifting or pouring the ice at the bar back. As an example. So that customized employment specialist is going to go to that employer and say, I've got the perfect person for you. I want you to meet them. They can perform off your job description, this, and that. But they may have challenges with this and that, and they probably need support from a team member. And so it's a win-win because not only is the person going to work built on their strengths, we're going to build natural supports within the work environment with colleagues. It's a win-win, and they're getting paid. It's a good option now. It doesn't take away from what Dean and his team are doing now with employment. It's an addition to. Okay, call your service coordinator, complete the referral, and if they're not interested in doing work, then do it to go to school. If your son or daughter's like, I want to go to school at Miramar and take a college class. All right. Then we'll hook you up with some tailored day services that will help with education needs.
Does it have to be?
They can be both. But it would be, I mean, something that you want to navigate with the navigator.
Bill,
Yes.
the job coach,
Go ahead.
the job coach then can morph into an academic.
Yes and no. So if they go, this is the support employment is exactly that. Supporting the person in employment. It's in the title. Okay. Tailored day, there's really, people are like, well, what's that? Right? So tailored day is really tailored to the individual and their specific needs. It is a different vendored service that can cater to not only employment, but education. So better off going tailored day, in my opinion.
Now, is the nature of that job coaching then vocationally targeted, or I would assume that's most of the students who take this pathway, they're going to go after some sort of vocation, whether it be mechanic, whether it be
The majority.
Yeah.
The majority, because they're in school now, right? So, but in the summer, do you have summer school? A lot of time on their hands, right?
We're a year-round program.
Huh?
We're a year-round program, so every 9 weeks we have about 2 to 3 weeks off.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's year-round school. Okay. So, but nevertheless, weekends, they're not here on the weekends. Okay. So it's just an option. And all of our staff have been trained through this. All your service coordinators have been trained. They know what this is.
What about transportation?
Transportation is not funded by the regional center. However, you could probably talk to your service coordinator, and if they're working, we will provide a bus pass if they're working, but they have to be mobility trained to use the public bus. You had a question?
I wanted to ask about this program, how the region would support a student with
limited speak?
Okay, that would be identified through the person-centered career plan through the navigator, and they would be able to identify what needs that individual might require in the place of employment. I have seen some awesome radical stuff in employment settings for people with limited speech. And often employers want to communicate with their employees. We don't want them to go through the coach to the individual. So we might create a communication book catered to just employment. Whatever the strengths of the individual and the communicator, it's all based on that. Okay, let's move on. Employment support. So there's a job coach and resources. So for support employment, as we discussed, support employment is support in jobs. It's a one-to-one program. You have an individual who can get to work on their own, whatever means necessary, doesn't matter. Bicycle, car, bus, Uber, whatever. Okay. If they're using the bus, the regional center will provide the bus pass. If they're going to college, the regional center will pay for the bus pass. All right. You writing all this down?
Are you sending this?
It's on. I have it on the thing. Yeah. Support employment. We talked about the group. We have the group placement. Job coaching. So job coaching here, when they start the job, is 100% for 3 months until that individual can work 80% of the job on their own. And then what happens then is a job coach will go in maybe once a week, twice a week, depending on how many hours they work a week. Just kind of check in, how you doing, deal with anything. If there's a change in job duties, then we'll bump up the support. Okay. Or if they have a new manager and they're like, oh, geez, I got to prove, we'll bump up the support. Okay. Group placement, the job coaching is there all the time, similar to what you have here. They're there all the time, but they're still navigating independence within that placement. They're encouraging the employer to speak directly to their employee, not to the coach. Okay, and that requires a lot of strategic finesse. Okay, and then tailored day services, which I just recently described.
Could you go over the tailored day services again?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So tailored day is one-to-one. It can be supportive in a place of employment or education. And the hours are determined by the planning team. Who's the planning team?
Coordinator person.
Oh, we're good. It's awesome, right? Now you can go home and you go, planning team. You can start quizzing yourself. But it's important because that's you, your son or daughter, regional center rep, teacher. It's so critical because that's where all the decisions are made. We don't arbitrarily make the decisions. I mean, I'll pay this, pay this, pay this, if I had that choice. I don't. It comes to your decision as a planning team. Okay.
So can you talk about the typical amount of hours for tailored day?
Sure. So for a long, long time, it was 37 hours. That was the cap per month. Right? Not a lot. Right? 37, an individual is maybe being seen maybe once or twice a week. All right. Now, that cap has been gone. It's a planning team meeting, so it can be 37, it can be 50, it can be 80. It can't be more hours than there are in the working week. Generally speaking, a day program is 5 hours a day. How long are the students here per day? 6 hours, about the same. Okay? It can't go past that per day. You can't have your son or daughter hanging out with a tailored day staff member for 9 hours. We don't even do that. All right. So it cannot go past what a typical program would be, 5 to 6 hours per day. And generally what we'll do is we'll say, okay, what are you going to do all day? We ask agencies, hey, send us a calendar. What is it going to look like? What are you doing? Okay. We want it to be productive and meaningful. Okay. But yet not exhausting. for someone, oh, I'm going out tomorrow with Bill. Can I just stay home? They're burnt out. So it's got to be realistic. Okay. And that's the planning team. Does that answer your question?
And is that another program that you have to do 2 years after the high school?
No, that would be only for you all after after you transition out 22,
Okay, so it's after we transfer out of here.
with the exception of that awesome CCP program, the Coordinated Career Pathways program.
Okay.
There's all these, you know, it's kind of like a maze, you know, it's like a map. And often the map goes into circles and sometimes it veers off. So
The coordinated career pathway program, the hours can be after.
yeah, we don't want to take away at all from their importance here. So if they, what time do you get out?
1:15.
15. I wish I was at school. I got out at 1:15. What time you start?
7:15.
Okay, so yeah, so that's brutal. Wow. And they're doing work at 7:15?
Oh. IP goals, they don't go to work till like usually.
Wow.
They break them in slowly. They come in smiling every day.
I'm sure they do. Wow, that's pretty cool. So anyway, at 1:15, you know, 2 o'clock, 3, 4, whatever. That's important during that planning team meeting that you have that, again, the PCCP. That's where that's discussed.
So that's available right now.
Mhm.
That's available right now for us to use. My son just registered in Miramar to take graphic design. He likes it, so that could fit where he gets support in that.
But you need to call your service coordinator and get that referral done.
Okay.
It's critical because nothing starts until the referral is done. It's sent, either usually I or a colleague reviews it, we approve it. Nothing starts without that.
Yep.
And we approve it. This would be hypothetical. If a referral went in tomorrow, we review it either tomorrow or Friday. Very quick.
That's a quick clarification. You mentioned with the PIP, that students need to be 18 and have a high school diploma, so a certificate of graduation would not suffice, is that correct? Yeah. Okay,
Unfortunately.
no, that's fine. Fine.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That program really isn't for our kids. Okay.
Well, if they graduate here with a diploma, they might. Some individuals go here and get a diploma, right? Yeah. Do you want to talk? What's next?
You got
We need partners. Okay, so here's the school districts that, you know, we partner with. My office is in Carmel Mountain. How many of your service coordinators are in Carmel Mountain? Oh, you all belong to me. How many of you have service coordinators or who are in Carmel Valley or Poway?
I have no idea.
I can almost, I bet you, this entire room's either with me or her. Carla? That's mine.
With a K.
That's you.
That's me.
See, it just
I have two Carla C and I have a Carla O. So it's so
Con's me. Yep. Nope, she's at the main.
Okay, that's right.
That's on Ruffin.
Yep.
yeah, I'm on Avenue of Science, which is right behind the Costco. Greg's mine.
We used to have
He's the goat, by the way.
Yeah.
We used to have a Samantha Aram.
Yeah. So your new person's also Sam
Okay,
with me.
okay.
It's easy to do the nameplate. Okay. So partners, San Marcos Unified School District, Cal State University San Marcos, San Diego County of Office of Education, San Diego Community College District, Department of Rehab, and we partner with the Department of Rehab, Carmel Mountain up in Vista or San Marcos, and the main partners with the office in Mission Valley on Metropolitan Drive. Okay. The San Diego Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities. If your son or daughter, I'm going to kind of veer off for a minute. Let's go back to support employment. If your son or daughter after they participate in CCP or PIP, and they want to veer off and do their own thing in a place of employment, the first order of business is to identify an agency out there who's going to help provide job coaching. Simple. I would ask your service coordinator to give you 3 options. Interview them well. Ask every question that you can possibly think of. There's no bad question or dumb or irrelevant question. They're all relevant. Okay. Pick your agency. And then your service coordinator will do the form, the referral form, and then they send it to Department of Rehab, whether it be in San Marcos or Mission Valley. And then they're going to schedule a meeting with Department of Rehab. And they're going to create a vocational plan for your son or daughter. It's not a long meeting, but it's going to kind of replicate meetings you've been in before. They're going to talk about interests. They're going to talk about how's your hearing. So, it's almost like a written physical without it being a physical. And they're going to ask your son or daughter, what are your interests in employment? And I'm going to recommend that your son or daughter provide 3 areas of interest. 3. And those might change over time, and that's fine. But we're just trying to get them started, right? Because our areas of interest when we were 16, 17, 18, are we still doing what we thought we would do at 16, 17, 18?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Not me. Okay. So, that might change over time, but they're going to create a vocational plan. Okay. And this is all about funds. It has nothing to do with your son or daughter. It has nothing to do with you. The Department of Rehab is going to pay that agency to do the job coaching, first the job development, find the job, and then provide the job coaching for those 3 or 4 months that we talked about until they can do their job 80% independent. Okay? Then, without you guys knowing, the funding switches to the regional center. But you don't even see it. Okay? And then we just pick up the bill. So that's how it works. But that's the importance of Department of Rehab because they will provide your son or daughter, whether they want to go to work or go to school, resources and supplies for those 2. If your son or daughter needs interviewing clothes, they will give you a voucher and you go shopping. If your son or daughter wants to go to college, they will provide you with a voucher for textbooks or other supplies. Talk to your service coordinator. They know all about this. Okay. And your guy, my new guy, came from a different regional center, so we're not breaking him in at all. He knows what he's doing. Okay, so it's great.
Do any of these count as benefits for the clients as income?
Good question. So, if any of your children receive SSI, okay, you're like, oh, don't have them work because they're going to lose their SSI. All right. I'm sure you've heard of it. This won't be the last time. It's kind of a myth, really, because it's simple math. All right. If your son or daughter is receiving, hypothetically, $1,000 a month. Okay. Nice. We're just going to work with round numbers. And so let's say they're receiving $1,000 a month. They can work up to for nothing. They'll get a paycheck, but when they make $81, their benefits aren't touched. But when they reach that 82nd dollar in wages, for every $2 they make after that, they'll take $1 out of SSI. Okay, does that make sense?
That's a day or a
month. Or a paycheck. Month, yeah, it'd be a month because you get monthly checks, right? Be a month. So if they make $150 a month, hypothetically, round numbers, they're going to take $1 out. So I don't know what my math is. I don't know, but they're going to make more money combined with their SSI and their check. Something like that, right? See, so They're making more money for wherever that goes. Okay. Cal, yeah. Okay, I'll get you. So they make. Yeah, math is not my thing, but he's pretty good at it. So
82 and up, right? 82 and up.
82 and up per month. So what if during the December, during the holiday season, they're not working as much? But it's important that you speak to the agency that you want to write this down. Trust me. The agency that's providing job coaching, TMI, Options for All, ARC. You've heard of these, Community Interface. You've heard of these agencies? No, don't worry. Your service coordinator will provide the list. They all provide job coaching. You need to have your son or daughter report their wages every month to Social Security. Critical. They might say, you can do it every 6 months. Don't.
And that includes here in Abraxas, what they make.
How are they paid here? By the employer? Workability? No.
Yeah, you have to report workability.
Are you?
Because it's a grant.
Yes, it's a grant.
Okay.
I was told by the SSI.
Yeah, it's a grant.
Today that we did it.
I'd Google it. Workability is funded differently. We're talking about wages from Outback. It's from the employer. They have a tax ID number, right? Social Security might say, "Oh, you can do it." They're very nonchalant about it. You can do it. Report them every 6 months. Are you going to remember what to do in 6 months from now? Maybe, maybe not. I always encourage families to do it every month. Make copies of your pay stub and send the originals into your Social Security office contact person every month. Because what happens if you don't? They overpay you. Then you owe them. Don't go down that route. I've seen it. It's not good. And anybody here work for Social Security? They're demanding.
Oh my
That's a very understatement, an extreme understatement.
They're great. No, I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Okay? So I've seen it. And it's really important that you coordinate with your service coordinator and the agency that's providing job coaching that you're reporting the wages. Often that agency will do it on your behalf. Okay?
My question is, if my child decide to enroll in the community college after transition, would the regional center provide the support with the kid when they're in school? Or how does that work?
Right. So it's tailored day services would probably be the best option for your child. And they would provide they wouldn't sit in the classroom the whole time. They would help them navigate through school, understanding where the library is, where their counselor is, where the DSPS office is, where the key things that they require to be, the bookstore, for example. They will help them navigate through all of that and possibly check on them in the morning and then maybe go and serve a different client and then come back in the afternoon. It's all depends on the individual and what their needs are. But they generally won't sit, not at first. At first they might, but they need to fade out a little bit.
So with material and all that stuff, they're not gonna get involved in anything.
I'm sorry?
Like the courses, the lecture and all that, no.
No.
So
Record.
did regional, how about the parent?
So
The parent going to pay for it?
is everybody here familiar with STP? Self-determination program? Oh, I wrote, oh no. I spelled out the acronym, right? That's what you want to do. You want to go to self-determination, create a budget based on what we would pay traditionally. Okay. Create your budget and then create your spending plan. And then you can have somebody sit in the classroom the whole time because you're going to pay them through their spending plan.
You have to go through the self-determination.
Easy peasy.
No, there's a lot of work.
Where's your son or daughter? Who's our service coordinator?
James, he's been very helpful.
Yeah, he's with me too.
Yeah,
So
I know you.
Oh. Okay. So that would be very, SCP would be a great option because it will provide you with the resources that you need. And your SCP for, this age, you can get social rec, everybody accessing social rec and non-medical therapies in camp. Really? Talk to your service coordinator. There's an awesome thing here, right?
Esports.
Esports. We'll fund that. And it's after school, right?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. We'll fund it. Okay. So there's social rec. So in your SCP budget, it'll be social rec, non-medical therapy. Anybody like playing the piano? Art, horseback riding, one-on-one. We'll pay for that. Swim lessons, social rec. Social rec, does anybody enjoy basketball league, baseball, soccer? All right, so that's a systemic issue. Unfortunately, yes, I know. And so the agencies out there have staffing issues. Ever since COVID, right? And so you're absolutely right. And so that's why STP, again, is a great resource to utilize so you can just pay who you want to go provide support to your son or daughter. Okay. So in social rec, in SCP, there's social rec we can put in there. We can put non-medical therapy, even if you're not going to, you can hear me say that. But, camps, if your kid doesn't want to go to camp, we'll pay for it. Because you can take that money and put it to something. What we would put in that budget is what we would traditionally provide. How many of your children are 18? Are your children receiving independent living training in the home?
So I'm going to ask a theoretical question. Is there a list of all of these things and how they apply that we can access the whole time? Because having to drill our service coordinator for all of this should not be our job. They should be coming to us and helping us understand more of this. Now, we appreciate this, but fundamentally, there should be one place where we should be able to go in and say, okay, my kid's 18. Which of these apply? My kid does not have a certificate. Do I have to read all of this 170 pages for no reason other than bedtime reading? That's what I'm, it's.
I know, I hear you. I hear you. And I get it.
Enough to navigate and read and go through every day. That would be really helpful.
No, I understand.
If we haven't asked, I would ask for this.
I don't know about Jessica, but my staff do have a list of social recs, non-medical camps. If you're 17 or 18 or 17 and younger, those are available to you now. Okay. Respite is available to you now.
If you can find a provider that has any.
We use the same people. So each office has, I assume you do too, has our own little people who we, purge. Just say, this. Okay, so those are options, and my staff have those lists. So if you do as well.
So what's the name again? I need to ask?
Yes, ask James about independent living training. If your child is 18 years old, minimum, independent living training. We have agencies who are going into your home, 15 hours a month maybe, and going in and working on basic life skills that we do every day, that you want your child to do every day. Cooking, laundry, clean up your room. Okay? learning how to microwave something, whatever. It's whatever you guys want and whatever your child wants. They'll come in your home and they'll provide that. And yes, they do, you know, some of the systemic issue is more with day programs and respite. Okay. So that's why I encourage you now to look at CCP and other options. So many acronyms, I'm sorry. Self-determination as an option because you can pay for your own person. You're not dependent upon an agency. And it eliminates some of that frustration, and you're the one in control. Yes.
I have a kind of an overarching question about self-determination. And of course, our primary concern is providing a plan for our son that enables him to achieve his own goals and to live his life in the way that he wants to live it. However, there's the practical reality that for 40 hours a week, his dad and I have to work. And so we're kind of perpetually confused about A, how you piece these pre-existing vendor programs together, or B, what is the backstop if the person that we hire is sick or, you know, quits suddenly? What do parents who are using, or caregivers who are using self-determination do to fill those gaps?
Mm-hmm. We've really encouraged facilitation of other family members or neighbors who are really close and trusting to your son or daughter, because they can pick up just, you know, if someone is sick. But we really encourage that you find a couple people, a backup as well, to provide that service if that were to occur, because that's inevitable. You know, and you're working 40 hours a week and you come home, you're exhausted, and you got to care for your child, but you want somebody to assist in those aspects. My suggestion is have a backup, and your independent facilitator, who is part of the planning part of it, can help navigate that. I don't know about Jessica, but I have my own preferred independent facilitator. I'm not going to say her name. I just keep throwing work her way because she's efficient and she's fair. And she's
regional center pays for her as well, right?
Regional center pays for her. You don't pay for anything. Okay. And she's professional and she gets it done. Okay. And she's really looking out for the best interests of your son and daughter. And in those meetings is when you would bring that concern up, because that person has all the answers. I would encourage that. But I understand it's frustrating. I have a son who's on the spectrum. I understand. You come home and you think everything's planned when you get home. Okay, come home, I can take off my hat, and then there's the wrench. Understand? Need to have a backup. So that's what I would encourage.
So maybe send a list of resources that you usually give us updated every year. Do you have another list that kind of describes what you've been talking about? That kind of
Yeah, I can put one together.
Okay, we can get that. Okay.
That would be perfect. And if there are some hyperlinks, that would be really nice.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just so that we can actually copy and paste.
I have a question about self-determination. I don't know, I think I was like, feel out in the room. Is it an easy process or is it not an easy process?
There's mixed
Emotions.
mixed feelings about that. And I'm here to be transparent with you.
Yeah, please do.
And is it a quick situation? No. But it really depends on how invested you're going to be. You put into it what you get out of it, or you get out of it what you put into it. So if let's say what we are creeping on February 1, right? If you wanted to start the process now, you could probably be enrolled at the earliest April 1. Earliest. It would not be before that. I'm being honest with you.
Is it quarterly or is it?
No, that's a good question though. No, it's not quarterly. There's a process after they meet with you. So you get your independent facilitator, they do a person-centered plan. And they create the plan. Okay. They send it to us and then we take it and then there's a budget that's created by your service coordinator and the independent facilitator. That includes all traditional services, as I've explained. If you're under 17, social rec, camp, non-medical, you can put all three in. You can put respite in. Even if you don't have it yet, put it in. Because we would provide that traditionally. We would provide it now, if you asked. Okay?
Everyone here is over.
All that plus independent living training. Okay? Budgets will be a little small, I'm going to be honest with you, until you hit 22 years old. When you hit 22 years old, you can put day programming in there. Okay, which is a lot.
So you can still go through a vendor day program if you're using self-determination.
Once they hit 22 years old.
You just pay them. It's just like one more step. I pay them instead of the regional center.
But you get to choose your day program.
Well, wouldn't I get to choose anyway?
Yes, but what if there's a special one that's in Ocean Beach, and we're not going to provide that transportation? You can, through SCP, provide that package together.
Okay, I thought that regional center wouldn't provide transportation.
Not that far. It wouldn't be the closest option for you.
Okay, so regional center will provide transportation to something close by?
It depends on the situation, unfortunately. That's more gray.
Okay.
It's very gray. There's a little bit more red tape. But
Do they provide funding for ride services?
Well, yeah, not yet, but we do have the MTS, the small bus. Yeah, we do that. But you gotta call every other day, and you gotta put yourself on a list, and they come within a 2-hour window. It's crazy. But we can provide a bus pass, mobility train them. We'll pay for that.
Again, it depends on the situation.
Every single person here, every single one of your children is individually different, and needs are different. Every one of you. So.
Can I follow up with that day program question? Because someone was saying that it seems like the day program option, a lot of our friends are nearing the end of their time here in Praxis. This is in a safe haven. It's been incredible for my son. So I've appreciated that. I'm a little bit scared about what's next. And I keep hearing that day programs, like they're either full or they're hard to get to or they're not close by. So any advice you would give us about day programs?
Put them on the list now.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. I heard that you can't do that because then there's other people that are, I mean, he's gonna be 21. I was like, well, then when is okay?
So he has another year here.
Yeah, just one
Right.
more year.
Okay. So what is he a May or December grad?
He's in May.
Okay. So
May of next month.
of 26. I would put him on in November or December of this year.
And so for day programs, I mean, really, you can't age out of that. So
No.
people have to just leave.
Or
Right. But so that's what the longer gen is that there's just not enough.
I would really recommend that you ask your service coordinator what their opinion, what their options are. They should give you 3. They can give you 4, but I would not ask for anything less than 3 options who they have relationships with.
You have to have a really good service coordinator. Sounds like they're kind of on top of the
No, you can always work with your coordinator, be a team and
It also,
help out each other.
it also depends on the day program. If you're going to a site base, those waiting lists are usually longer and harder to get into. If it's 100% community based and you get a group of 3, they find a support staff and then you got your group and you're out there. So if it's 100% community based, it's not as long.
a little bit easier. Okay. And there are day programs opening regularly. So by the time your son graduates, there might be another 2 or 3 that are opening. Okay, so, and they're really trying to open up more here in North County because they're kind of scarce up here, right? So, there's a few that we have really good relationships with that, I would ask your service coordinator, November earliest this year, put them on and start asking, go tour them. Just don't look on their website. Okay, everything looks terrific on the website. And I'm not being critical. I was a vendor. I was the program manager for day programs, the one in Poway, for 5-6 years. So I encourage families to ask every question that you can imagine, think of. Oh, I was the program manager for community options, which is now options for all. Yeah. So I always encourage families, ask me any question you want, such as, how are you going to ensure that my son or daughter is safe? What do you do to ensure that they're safe crossing the street and don't get splat? What's lunchtime look like? What are they going to do while they're out in the community? They're just going to walk around, or are they going to do something productive? You got to ask everything. Okay. And I encourage, don't ask any, well, I don't know if I should ask that. Ask it. Come with a list and add to the list, because questions are going to be created when you just have a conversation.
Yes.
Right? What's the background of your staff? I can tell you they're all fingerprinted. They're all background checked. But I'd still ask. How are they going to get around? Staff car or bus? Maybe both, but you got to ask. You don't want to be driving down Palmyra and you look and you see your kid in someone's car. You're like, what the heck? You know that could happen, right? You need to ask those questions. It's important. There's no bad question, because this is your child, my son too. So I get it. Okay. Is there any more slides?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, this is great with the questions, and we got a little over 20 minutes left.
Oh.
Is there any
I gotta go pick up my
slides you
dog.
want to go through, or keep answering questions?
That's the end of the slides. So.
Okay.
Can you personally name some tailored aid programs that you like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Towards maximum independence, TMI, more acronyms. I'm sorry. I've never been in an industry that has so many acronyms. It's insane. TMI, options for all is a good one. Community interface, but those are really large agencies. It really depends. When you're larger, they perhaps have a little bit more of a surplus of staff. When they're smaller, I'll get you. When they're smaller, it might be a little bit more different. But TMI, I have relationships with people in all those agencies, even to this day, from when I was a vendor. Okay. Pride was also known as PWI, Partnerships with Industry, but they are now Pride. And I can just text somebody there and we're done. It's just about relationships. This whole entire system is about relationships. Okay, and nurturing those.
What do you think about one well?
One well?
Yeah.
One well? Yeah, I mean, every agency is going to come to the table with something, or philosophically, we're all on the same page, right? And program designs to make that so they can become vendored are generally all the same. What makes each agency slightly different is the touch they provide. And every agency has a significant touch that they provide. And it can be anything. It could just be, your son or daughter, let's say, unfortunately, maybe has a restroom accident. Are they going to go the extra mile to ensure that your son or daughter to keep their integrity and dignity in place, take care of them? I mean, every agent. I work with them. There's not one agency that I would sway you away from. Okay. I would say that every agency is unique for any particular individual. And that's where you have to find the puzzle that your son or daughter fits into. Okay. And that's why you have to ask questions. Not after the fact, when maybe something occurs that leaves you going, And certainly that might still happen, but we can't predict any of that. So ask every question. Even now, what are you going to do when my son or daughter has a restroom accident? You're going to ensure that there are dignities in place. You know, what are you going to do if my son or daughter runs across the street? Just let them go. You're going to chase them. Or you're going to yell at them and scare them and they fall into the ground. You need to, those are, I mean, it sounds radical, right? You need to ask. It's your child. Any other questions?
We opened it up on the chat just recently to see if there were any questions. So as they come in, I'll raise my hand and let you know.
We had one come in right now. It says, while under 22 in atabraxis and or after, are any services limited if they are getting IHSS?
No.
What was the question?
Yeah, one, I don't see that one. Do you mind? Because it's hard for the group here.
Oh, I think that was a
to hear.
direct message. Sorry.
Oh, okay. If you don't
but it
mind
said-
sending them, I'm
Yeah.
in as both Dean and myself, one on my phone to type and one on the computer. But when the questions are asked one over the laptop, the rest of the group can't hear.
The question was, if your son or daughter receives IHSS services, are they limited to any services? No.
No.
IHSS is the county, and we're regional center, two different agencies. Your son or daughter can receive the max, which is what, 280 something hours, right? That's a month, right? Right. And they can receive another 120 respite hours per quarter. Apple, orange. Anybody other?
I just wanted to thank you for this. You know, we've all been doing this for 18 plus years. You don't know what you don't know. You just open up a whole new field of mistakes.
I enjoy coming. I've been in that seat, so I understand.
I have a suggestion. It goes to the gentleman who asked about, you know, are we supposed to read 70 pages, whatever it is?
He said 170.
I have to read the document.
My suggestion is, somebody in Sacramento instead of spending 50 million on whatever kind of quota stuff is, why can't they find someone to create a digital flow chart that has all of this stuff and you can just follow the flow chart depending on your child's specifics and you can get to some of these things.
That'd be easy.
I spend a lot of time on that and much less time than I spend reading stuff.
Write your legislator.
I will. And is there somebody who's in charge of the regional center in the state?
There's a brand new director, and I'm ashamed of myself. Do you know his name? Oh, it's a good thing God she doesn't either. But if you went to Department of Developmental Services webpage, we have a brand new director, Paul. I got his first name. I don't think I can pronounce his last name, but he would be the person you're directed to. I would also encourage that you could do the DDS ombudsman. That their email address would be on that same page.
If you want to start the petition, that would be, I'll jump in on it. I was about to go another way, say, I would gladly volunteer time to actually put this together with the help of a service coordinator or two. I would gladly volunteer my time to actually help put something like this together. I do processes day in, day out, so this would be very easy, but we need all the information so that we can actually distribute and host it on your website.
Oh, never mind, sorry.
Or whatever.
I have both.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed you guys referencing the independent facilitator. Is that with the SDP program?
It is, and it's not a person who's employed by the regional center. They are among us all in this area. And when you're interested in, well, first of all, if you want to do SDP, you got to go through orientation first, which is on the regional center website. Okay. Once that's completed, you let your service coordinator know that you're interested. And he or she will point you in an independent facilitator's direction, and you would communicate with them and let them know what your ambition is, and they'll get you started. But your service coordinator can direct you to a number of independent facilitators.
I have a question in the chat that says I've had a hard time getting information from my regional center coordinator, and feel like they don't have the knowledge my previous coordinator had. Where can I go to see what vendors are available through regional or activities my child can be a part of? I have two over the age of 18, 20, and 22, and want to help them get involved in everything they want to be a part of.
Have them email that person's program manager. It's going to be either us, one of us. So and my card is here. Okay, so
Yeah, it's one of my students, so I'll grab a card for her.
And they can just email me and I can direct them.
What are the pros and cons? Why would someone choose to do self-determination or not choose to do self-determination?
Simple control. You have all the control in self-determination.
So it doesn't make sense to not do it. I mean, there's no benefit to not doing self-determination.
I would say that it's again, individual basis. If your son or daughter has specific needs, whether it be communication or perhaps medical needs or behavioral, STP is going to provide you with a budget of money that you can spend on specific things that perhaps might not be funded by the regional center, traditional. Such as if your daughter or son wants to go to school, okay, we don't provide tutoring support. But if you go through STP, you can pay for that through that money. Now the great thing about STP is that it's also a living document. So if something comes up, let's say you started 4-1, like what I mentioned. If you started today, that would be the earliest. Okay. Let's say on 7-1, you found some awesome program that you want your son or daughter to be a part of, and the regional center would pay for it traditionally. Budget modification, spending modification, put it in.
The regional center will pay 100% of whatever that the child enrolling.
No, it doesn't. No, whatever we would pay traditionally. So let's say, like I said earlier, if you wanted to get a budget going, you can put in all three: social rec, non-medical, with your daughter. Social rec, non-medical, camp, independent living training, and respite. Okay. That would form a budget, whatever that amount is. Okay? Whatever you do with that money, you don't have to spend that money on those things. You can take that money and put it towards tutor, I don't know, whatever else.
Right, Bill, real quick. I have a former student, good example. It's just a customized program. A student who's totally blind, has a VI teacher that comes down and works with him, takes taekwondo, has music therapy, has every type of up-to-date computerized equipment for typing, computing. They just have the person-centered planning meeting and addressed all the needs, and then able to fund it. So it's just customizing a program for your son or daughter. So it's a lot of work, a lot of due diligence, but it's a great whole thing.
And I would encourage, if that's something you're interested, you can, if you enroll in SCP, and let's say you're in it a month, and you disenroll, unfortunately, you cannot enroll again for a year. I don't make up the rule.
So,
okay.
I guess there's a question first.
Yes.
So the question was, when I first learned of the SDT and started looking into it, an issue came up, or I don't know when I came, but he said, because my son was only doing the respite, they said you might want to get other services first so that you can build a budget. Otherwise, you're just going to go, oh, well, you're on respite, this is all you have.
So
if I use respite, then
yeah, no, you make a good point, and service coordinators will say, I would say, if when a service coordinator comes to me with a budget, I look at it because I review it every time. I'm going to say, I will say, there's no social rec, there's no non-medical, there's no camp. I'm the steward of taxpayer dollars, okay? But I want your son or daughter to have what they deserve, because traditionally I would pay for that. Now, Now, doesn't matter if they're 17, 16, 18, 19, don't matter. I would pay for all three of those things now. So why wouldn't that be in the budget? Doesn't matter. You're not. You might not be using it for those three things, but you're taking that money that those three things would pay for and using it for something else. That's the spending plan.
Doesn't the budget depend on identifying needs and then the budget item meets the need? It's not that you had to have spent that money the year before. It's that you with your team identify these needs that are unmet. Is that right?
Right. We would pay for what you would use within the year. Even if you don't have it, let's say you didn't do so, nobody's done social rec and all that now. So you guys were all, your eyeballs went like this when I said social rec camp and non-medical. So you're not utilizing it. Right? Well, I'm glad I came. Because you need, the phones are going to be blowing up tomorrow. I want this.
Yep.
Okay. Non-medical. So, for example, private swim lessons, private music lessons, equestrian lessons, art lessons.
We were told that was.
No, private one-on-one. I mean, social camp can be, YMCA has like a zillion camps all throughout the year. Okay, especially during the holidays. What time? When do you guys get out in the holidays?
It depends year to year.
December, sorry.
End of December through like the first week in January.
5 weeks. Camp.
Can't get through them, they don't respond, because I have, my daughter and I have different schedules when I tried, I need help to get her in so I can, work, and they don't respond. So,
Who doesn't?
YMCA.
Oh, well, then you need to call James and tell him, because you know James.
Yeah.
He's my
very
dude.
helpful, yes.
Yes.
And
He'll call. He'll call. I know we don't have much more.
SDP covered equipment, like those like wheelchair that's not, or lift that's sitting track, for example, that's not going to be covered by the private insurance. Does that be covered in the budget?
So I wouldn't go through the budget for that. What I would do is tell your service coordinator the situation. You need to get, you might want to write this down. You need to get 3 quotes on how much it would cost. You need a denial letter from your insurance. Your service coordinator will arrange for a nursing assessment, which we pay for. And then we send it to our executive team for review. It's a little lengthy. Getting 3 quotes is pretty easy, but getting that denial letter from your insurance, it's on their terms, right? But yeah, you don't even have to put that in SCP. That's completely, I wouldn't waste money. I wouldn't use that money for that.
No, I went through all those steps.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
Is,
You could.
I started the SCP process right now. So my question is, in the future, once we have SCP,
Good.
now that those needs, that's not part of the SCP. So that's, I have to go to the same thing directly to regional centers.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, just a question. Is there anyone that we can tie to help us deal with the self-determination?
Anybody that you can what? Oh, guide you? Yeah, your service coordinator. They'll guide you. Who's your service coordinator?
Right.
He'll do it.
Just to clarify.
Trust me. He is extremely well respected in the agency. He will do it. So, and if he has any questions, he comes directly to me. So call him, tell him we met. We'll start.
Just to clarify the whole SDP thing. So if I get all of these 4 entitlements for my son, the grant, non-medical, all of this, and I decide to spend them all on respite,
What? You could.
completely fine.
Yeah.
So it's a lump sum of money of what you're entitled to get under regular circumstances that you're allowed to spend. over a year or quarter?
Year. Because your budget, if you don't make any modifications throughout the year, will be reviewed annually.
And if we don't use that money, what happens?
I think you lose it.
You don't have to. It's a new budget it's a
Okay, so
review
it-
every
it can
year.
It doesn't roll over.
It
does-
could be if there was, for
Refresh is the
example,
same amount,
yeah.
or whatever inflation is.
If, one example would be like if you had money for respite.
Yeah.
And for a few months you didn't have a respite provider, we wouldn't make you lose that money.
Okay.
Because of the reason. So I think it is again individualized based on the reason.
Any questions for Jessica? She's just been kind of hanging out.
I like to listen to Bill talk, but yes.
Bill, really quickly, I had a parent.
I'm on Western Road
let me
and.
know that they were following along.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Juan, we can't hear you. Sorry. And also heads up, I have 6% battery. So this is about to. Okay, go ahead, Juan. Say it one more time.
Yeah, I had a parent reach out to me asking, they've been following along as best they can, but they were wondering if they had information packets in Spanish for them
We have
to
information packets in Spanish. Yes.
If you could send them to me, that'd be wonderful.
Or, you know what? I'm gonna bring Dean and you some.
I think their computer may have died. I apologize. Hold on, let me try to get a hold of them. Apologies. Oh, there we go. Oh, Melanie, can you unmute your